Do, 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 do. Welcome, everybody. So, first off, we would love to hear where you are joining us from. Let's see. Everyone can chat with everyone. Hey, guys, where are you joining us from? Adelaide, Victoria, New Zealand, Dallas, Adelaide, awesome. Tennessee, I love Tennessee. Western Australia, Perth, Sydney, California, North Coast, New South Wales, Canada, Yamba. Oh, I love Yamba. We're holidaying in Yamba over Christmas. It's our new thing. Oh, Esperance. Yep, I would love to holiday there. Poland, sunny coast. Scotland, Perth, sunny coast. Cool. Couple of sunny coasters. Gympie, Melbourne. Amazing. A good
Yeah.
old mix there, guys. What were you going to say, Jean?
No, I was going to say to Ben, Scotland's a big place. Any more specific?
Where's that, Jean? Oh, Scotland.
Scotland.
It's Ben Berners from Scotland, but it could be
Oh,
a
love
Loch
it.
Ness as far as I know.
Do you say Inverness?
Loch Ness.
Oh, Loch Ness. I'm
Yes.
um I'm watching the Outlander prequel right now. So he's from
Borders.
the Borders. Jean, do you know where that is? Jean's got a lot of
I
family in
do. I
Scotland. That's why
do.
she's asking.
Yeah. He can. Yeah, I can quickly tell him my name's my maiden name's Kirkpatrick.
And do you know what mine would be if like my Scottish side, McDougal. McDougal. There's apparently some castles there. All right.
What
Peter?
about my family name? I'm an Armstrong.
Oh, where's that from?
Is that Scotland? Come on.
Oh, I didn't know that.
You know,
Oh,
Ian
I'm
Neil.
I'm very grateful to have dodged some of my family names. One was McDougal, and then on my dad's side, if my dad wasn't a Morrison like his parents, it was Harnisch-Figger. I'm like, oh, that's so German. Melissa Harnisch-Figger. Wow. I'll take Kupsch. That's all good. All right, guys, we will get into it now. Welcome. This is our Q&A where we are just going to go through more information about our 2-year course to become a homeopath, an advanced practitioner of homeopathy. All right, let's get into it. I will let Jean and Peter introduce themselves. So, Jean, tell us a bit about yourself.
Okay. I've been a homeopath now for over 30 years. I trained in the UK at the Northwest College of Homeopathy. And then once I became a homeopath, because I had a previous background in law, so I became the professional conduct director of the Society of Homeopaths. Eventually, that culminated in being offered a fellow of the Society of Homeopaths. But also, I set up with some colleagues the second homeopathy degree in the UK. So in 1999, along with these colleagues, we set up the BSc Homeopathic Medicine at UCLan in the UK. And then we set up the Masters in Homeopathy also at UCLan. So I've been involved with homeopathy education for the best part now of 26 years, well, 27 years. And of all the things I've ever done in my life, it has been the thing I'm most proud about and also the thing that I love most.
Love it. Peter, tell us about yourself.
Uh, I've been a practicing homeopath since 1985 when I graduated from a college in Sydney. I graduated from 6 colleges and 5 different universities. I've been um, involved in homeopathic education since 1990. So that's about 26 years as an educator and about um, 38 years as a practitioner. Um, I've only been a homeopath. I haven't done anything else. All my summer jobs at university, paid my tuition fees as I went through. But it's the thing I live for. It's my meaning and my purpose, heck, even my identity. So there's nothing else I'd rather be doing. So here I am, having spent all this time learning. I'm now teaching it, giving back to the next generation, so that Melissa can have an army of graduates marching behind her as she leads us forward.
I love it. So compared to Jean and Peter, I'm pretty much a baby homeopath. I graduated, oh gosh, 8 years ago. And it's funny because Peter lectured me when I was at university, but for another course. I was actually training to be a naturopath then. So Peter was my teacher, and Jean actually taught Peter his masters of homeopathy. So we just got a little chain going around here. But between the three of us, we come together, we gel so well. We do all of our lectures together, and it's quite conversational. So, our different perspective, these two are sort of like walking encyclopedias. You would be hard pressed to ask them a question that they don't know exactly what you're talking about in terms of, oh, this person who wrote this book, or oh, this old theory, or this approach to homeopathy. What do you think? When you've got these two with 60 plus years of experience between them, they really know the ins and outs of it. I I love homeopathy. When I found homeopathy, I thought this is it. This is the answer. I have a big vision for where we are going to take homeopathy in the world, in what we are creating. So this is really just the beginning. And if you guys jump on board now, you're very blessed because you get to ride this tidal wave. You will have no shortage, I don't think, of people lining your clinics wanting to see you because the whole world is waking up right now to the power of homeopathy and energetic medicine in general. We're seeing the real downfall of pharmaceutical, the allopathic era, as people are realizing the shortcomings of a lot of those drugs and they're realizing they're not actually getting to the root. So here we go. Homeopathy has the ability to focus on all of the acute and chronic health conditions to free up space in the allopathic model so that they can focus their energy on emergency life-saving medicine. People all around the world are looking for a solution to their health problems, and we are the solution. And it really is, guys, an issue worldwide at the moment. If you call an ambulance in Australia, the wait times are getting too long because people are getting too sick. We are actually too burdened, this health system. And so, what we need is really homeopaths to step in and take every single bit off their plate as we can. And we are so brilliant at addressing all of those chronic complaints, the eczema, the asthma, the hay fever, the allergies, the endometriosis, the fertility issues. All of their band aid suppressive solutions are really short sighted, let's say that. That's a nice way to put it. It's short sighted, and we can really help. So, what is our mission? RMDY Academy of Homeopathy is on a mission to bring homeopathy back to the people that we may use this knowledge to heal not only ourselves, but this world. As you go through this course, you are going to find yourself. If you start here, you are going to elevate, you are going to reveal layers of yourself and heal yourself and those around you. You'll be a profound practitioner. But yes, this course, you will not leave it the same person as when you came in. And our vision is to provide the highest level of homeopathic education in a revolutionary way, to graduate confident, competent practitioners who know how to run a successful practice. In regards to that, Peter, tell us about why is RMDY revolutionary when it comes to education? Is it actually different to the other models?
Yes, I have a qualification in education. So does Jean. And Jean and I have been teaching so many different institutions for so long. We know what was, and we didn't want to do that again because it suited the Industrial Revolution, but it doesn't suit the 21st century. There are so many challenges to education right now that we decided to reinvent the wheel and do education different and better. So we have a spiral curriculum. We have a portfolio for assessment. We have lots of clinical training. It's almost like an apprenticeship style. And although it takes 2 years to get your head around thinking differently, relieving yourself from your past thoughts of how medicine should be practiced, we do it better. And our student feedback for the last 12 months has been that we do an excellent job. Our fallout rate, our dropout rate is exceedingly low. We've had some with health issues, some with financial issues, but we are keeping our students engaged. They love our course.
Mhm. And what's interesting, guys, is people come to education from all sorts of backgrounds. And we need to be able to teach in a way that every single student can comprehend, absorb it, And we are just not into that old school way of didactic learning where we just tell you all this stuff, you memorize and you spit it back at us in exams or assignments. That's the old way of education. Even in our mainstream schooling systems with our children, I think that we are finding that model is not the highest level that we can offer human beings. And so I love that Peter, Jean, and I went out on a limb and we said, we're just going to do it differently. We're not going to jump through the old hoops that perhaps institutions have relied upon to be able to say whether somebody is worthy or not. We went a new path, and I love that those, accrediting bodies are coming over and they're looking at what we're doing. They're saying, we want to accredit your course. When we came up with our curriculum and the way that we were going to teach, we did not have in mind that we want to be ticking other people's boxes. No, that has come secondary, and it's just a blessing that we get our course accredited. What we wanted to focus on was the caliber of the homeopaths that we are actually going to graduate. We want to send you out into the world to change lives. So let's look at it. All right, as a career path, being a homeopath, it is life changing. You're not only going to transform your career, but your entire perspective on health, healing, and human potential. It's impossible to learn about homeopathy and not have your entire world just completely changed. So there's a high demand at the moment, no denying that. We are constantly looking for people to refer to. We're lucky now that we have a cohort of 570 students. So when I come across someone at the gym and they find out what I do and they're like, oh, could you recommend someone? And to be honest, a long time the answer has been no, because there are not that many homeopaths around me that I know the way they practice and can solidly refer them. So to now have 570 students, I say, hey, fill out this survey form and someone will be in touch is amazing. The demand is huge. The flexibility of working online anywhere you want. You can be a mother. So I started when I was a stay-at-home mum of two. Then I went on to have my third baby, and I just worked at home, my little desk in my garage, and I would get on a Zoom with people in the Middle East, in Bosnia, in Lebanon, obviously Australia, America, Canada, New Zealand. You can work with anybody. You are not bound. Our level of flexibility surpasses, I think, any other modality, because remember, we're only sending these tiny bottles of medicine. It's very cost effective to send them internationally. You've got one there. I was about to reach for mine. And, it's very different to, say, naturopaths who have these big herbal supplements. You don't really want to be seeing a naturopath internationally, usually. And because there are so many naturopaths, around, but homeopaths are really sought after. If you're a massage therapist, if you're an acupuncturist, you are, of course, bound by locality. People have to drive to see you so you can do your great work. Homeopaths, you can live anywhere, you can do anything that you like. So I absolutely loved that. And I love the flexibility of just booking in consults when I could do them. If I wanted to take Wednesday, Thursday, Friday off, I'm just not going to book consults then. Goodbye to the 9 to 5. And I don't know how many of you are out there listening, but maybe you have families and if you have a partner who's out of the house. It was a big dream for me when I was in the beginning stages of my studies. And I said to my husband, we've got to figure something else out. I hated that he would go off to work for like 11, 12 hours a day. And I said, I can do this as a homeopath. I can be really successful. You can come home and, be more around the home and with the boys. And it has worked out phenomenally for us. And a lot of our students are on that same track. If you run a successful practice from home, you can really keep the family together and can really change a lot of things. In regards to financial success, being a homeopath should be extremely financially rewarding. And I say this because a lot of people have this sort of notion when you work in natural medicine that, I don't know, that we're so nice and we shouldn't make a good living out of it because we're good people. And that is just such an outdated mentality. For me, my dad is a medical doctor, and I think to myself, I know what medical doctors do, and I know the work that I do. And we should be paid equally as well as our medical counterparts. A lot of the time, the drugging and the interventions that they do are actually extremely harmful and land the patients back even further. We are these medical detectives. We have these powerful remedies, and our remedies are inexpensive. Once you guys set up your dispensary, that will probably be your dispensary for life. It's extremely cost effective. So when people come to see us, and let's say they might pay $250 is perhaps an average for a consult in Australia, And some people go up, some people go down. Some people, it is like, to be honest, up in the thousands for consults. Some might be a little bit less. But your medicines themselves are so cheap that the people are investing in your time. Whereas when people go and see the naturopath, they'll be paying for the time, and that might be $250. But on top of that, it's maybe $500 for all of these expensive supplements that you've got to keep taking. So the homeopaths are extremely blessed. That's something that I would say the three of us are extremely thankful for, that our medicine is so cost effective and it goes so far. With this frequency medicine, once you buy it from the pharmacy, you can then distribute that, over and over and over again. So we're very, very lucky in that regard. So part of my mission is to make sure that the students value their practice. I know in the beginning of my practice, it feels bizarre to be charging somebody, for your time in this way, to sit down with you. And, in the beginning, I started with charging maybe $150 for the consult and some remedies. And I started almost exclusively in fertility. And why, when I was so successful, should I only charge $150 for an appointment when if people go to IVF, which is notoriously unsuccessful, they would pay $10,000 a pop? And at some point, guys, we have to really value ourselves as natural therapists and what we do, regard it highly because we are powerful. So yes, I'm obviously very passionate about that. And it comes off with the students. And I know that our students are going to step into very successful practices because they deserve to be successful. So, Jean, what personality do you think makes a good homeopath?
It's quite, this is very easy to answer, and it's someone who's passionate and motivated and loves people. I started off obviously in the academic world, looking at examinations, going back to what you said, and looking at making sure that people could remember certain facts. And as I've moved on, I've realized that that is probably, especially in the days of AI, that is the least important aspect. I'm interested in someone that can sit with somebody and listen to their story, make sense of it, and prescribe. And it's being with people.
Yeah, love it. And it's that interest in people's lives and human being and psychology, trauma, bettering. And also, I think that metaphysical element, the magic of this universe, it flows through homeopathy. If you guys are interested in that sort of stuff, this is going to be your jam. I've sort of already told you what a career in homeopathy can look like, and you can decide to specialize in different areas. So, if there is a niche that really appeals to you, let's say you really want to work with pregnant and postpartum women. Maybe that's a spot where you just really want to support them, or men's health. Maybe men's mental health is something you're really passionate about. You might specialize in that. I went the fertility route. Complex kids, where we're looking at autism, PANS, PANDAS, ADHD. It's a massive field. There are so many different niches, and you get to decide what works for you. A typical day for a homeopath, um, sitting down with a client. That's number one. You're going to book them in. You're going to spend about 90 minutes with them, at least, getting all of the information needed about their life, their history, all that you can. Then you are going to repertorize. You're going to use the software on the computer, or you're going to use your books, and you're going to look through and you're going to be trying to piece together what remedy does the patient in front of you need. Ultimately, you're going to prescribe, and then you're just going to do your follow-ups. But that flexibility to do it on your own terms is what makes the day of a homeopath just so beautiful. The average income, this spans so far, and it depends what sort of practice you would like. And it's very important to note, Jean's done some studies. Jean has conducted and published a lot of studies, but one area that she looked at was what makes a successful and fulfilling practice. And it's really important to note that successful for everybody does not necessarily mean that they are fully booked 5 days a week. Sure, there are some people who love that and they're thriving, hustling, bustling, and maybe they're making hundreds of thousands of dollars. But also, success in practice can look like the stay-at-home mum who gets to do, an appointment each night, and it's amazing for her brain, and she's excited, and she's resolving children's eczema and getting all of this, amazing work done and feeling it, but around her family life. So success for one, it's going to look very, very different. So you need to decide, how do I want to make this career work for me? What would be optimal? What income would I be looking at, you know? So that's really up to you and how you set it. When I was doing my fertility work towards the end, when I was really quite experienced and had a lot of success, I was charging $899 for a consult. And that had a bit of a package in it with a couple of follow-ups as well. Um, but I found out there was a homeopath in the UK and we were pretty much doing the same protocol. And she was charging, oh gosh, I can't remember right now. I think it was like $3,500 for that same package. And as a homeopath, that doesn't make me think in any way like, oh, why is she charging so much? She shouldn't be doing that. It was like, good for her, you know, $3,500, and she's extremely successful. You compare it to IVF, and it's like, of course, you know, it's absolutely brilliant. So you really can't tell people what the average income for a homeopath is going to be because it's extremely varied for what you are going to do and what you are going to charge, how often you're going to work, really. Now, is this a job for the future? It 100% is absolutely critical. I'm sure most of the people on this call realize that our world is somewhat in dire straits, in my opinion. We're very toxic, we're very suppressed. We've got a lot of people walking around with essentially a broken spirit, whether they're anxious, depressed, they've had a hard upbringing. It's like the circumstances of life seem to be getting on top of more people than not. Our children are struggling. Our children are chronically sick at rates that we have never seen before. We need to turn this sort of health crisis and the mental health crisis around. Homeopathy, mark my words, is going to play a very key part in it. And you know, I'm not really political, but if you even look around the world, even this whole Maha movement amongst the US, you've got Robert Kennedy, a lover of homeopathy, and a lot of people in that movement trying to make positive change. They've been recommending that everybody should watch the documentary Introducing Homeopathy. And in my conversations with some of the Maha people, they realize that homeopathy is a key pillar to the future of medicine. So it is going to be huge. I think it's like a rocket is launching right now. So, Remedy Academy, we have a highly skilled and experienced team. We are obviously very passionate and we're also extremely qualified. Between Jean and Peter, it doesn't really get more qualified for teaching. Jean does a lot of the accreditation processes, all of the boxes, making sure that we have got every single thing completely and utterly covered. Peter is like our materia medica whiz, profound homeopath. Samuel Hahnemann, if you guys have started your research into homeopathy, you'll realize who Samuel Hahnemann was, the founder of homeopathy. Peter is essentially our modern Samuel Hahnemann. His brilliance, in my opinion, is unsurpassed for homeopaths around the world. And I've spoken to and been around many. You want people teaching you who know how to break through the most chronic, most complex of complex cases. Community and connection, this is one of the biggest things for Remedy Academy that we hear, because there are so many of us and we as lecturers are so tapped into the needs of our students. We bond them together in their tutorial groups. I just hear it like every day from our students. They do not want this experience to end. A lot of the people in the course have become their best friends because you imagine it, guys, right? You're then put in groups with these like-minded people. You know, if you guys in your everyday life, maybe some of you are surrounded by a lot of holistic, open-minded people, but it's really nothing compared to, I guess, the obsessiveness that you can develop when it comes to homeopathy, and the whole world opens up to like, oh my gosh. And you will just want to talk to people who understand the miracles that you are seeing in your practice. So if you're a homeopath, it's, I think, critical that you have homeopathic friends so you don't drive your spouses absolutely up the wall with how much you love it. You know, talk to people who get it. And I would say a lot of our students on graduation, they are going to be banding together and doing clinics and cross-referring between each other. So that support and that network is just so critical. Jean has friends to this day that she catches up with, and they were her homeopathic buddies back in the day. Jean, how frequently do you catch up with the girls now? Was it every week? How often?
Oh, twice a week.
Twice a week.
We
Yeah.
talk, yes.
Yeah. And guys, it also is really important for you continuing your knowledge and your growth as a homeopath. For those who graduate from a course and then get really isolated in their own practice, it's very unfulfilling. You need the magic of community. And that's also why a lot of homeopaths go to conferences. So if you are someone who loves travel, you can sort of pair it with like your working write-offs, because there are conferences all around the world. Greece, Bali, Jean, Peter, and I, we went to the LA. Was that this year? My gosh, we went to LA this year for that. We'll probably do many. We're going to India early next year, to see one of the homeopathic hospitals there where they see 1,200 people a day. And we're taking our students with us, those who want to come. So this community, this connection, it's priceless. It's very, very important. And then the engaging learning environment. So our teaching style, dynamic, interactive, designed to spark your curiosity so you feel supported. It's got to be interesting, it's got to be engaging, and you have to hear it in a way that you are going to understand. There are a lot of homeopathic courses where perhaps, say it's like, okay, go off and like read this yourself. Even some of the anatomy and physiology courses out there, it's like, online learning should not be, hey, actually go and teach yourself. It's got to be interactive. And that's probably one of the best things that I find the feedback for us is that because Jean, Peter, and I are present in every lecture, you hear the perspective three different ways. So Peter might rattle off something so profound, but I, as a newbie homeopath, I know how to word it in a way that people who are not quite there yet will understand. And so the feedback from our 570 current students is that everybody is getting it, everybody is keeping up. And that's like pretty remarkable, to be honest, to be able to teach in a way that every single person understands. So, what does it actually look like when we're studying? So, each week you have multiple sessions to view. So, on a Monday, for example, that's when our course curriculum that week's drop goes. And you might have, let's say, two lectures. One might be on, oh, let's pretend the first week, and it might be on the history of homeopathy and understanding the roots of it. The next one might be on a materia medica. So we might be talking all about the remedy arnica, when to use it, the depths of it, where does it come from, all about that. So you're going to have some lectures that drop every week. You will also have, and it's pretty much from day dot, you guys will be sitting in on watching Peter, Jean, and I take cases. So we find that you are going to learn what is important in homeopathy in this apprenticeship style learning. You're literally watching us, what questions we ask. Where do we take a case? How do we interact with our patients? What are we talking about? So you see us do that, and you see it so many times before you start practice that that is why the students of RMDY Academy, when they are doing their cases, even the feedback that we have heard, there are some homeopaths out there who do external mentoring for students. And we've had feedback recently, and they mentor other students from other universities. And the feedback is that it is a night and day difference when they are working with remedy students. That to us is profound feedback. Of course, we're extremely ecstatic, but we already know that because we are overseeing so many cases, and we can see that their skill set is far beyond what you would typically see in a homeopathic course. And the reason that we would put it down to, it's this style of learning, the apprenticeship model, where they've seen us do it so many times that then they've gained the skills and now they are able to do it. So that's where we think it really stems from. So you guys sit in on that. Then you get to see our case analysis. So you see us take a case, but then you see the patient hangs up and you see Peter, Jean, and I for the next hour talking about what remedies are we going to give and why. Profound learning happens in that differentiation. Okay, so Peter might say, well, I think we should give her phosphorus. And I say, no, I think we should give her Natmer. And Jean says, well, I actually think she's never been well since this vaccine, and we better start with detoxing that first. So when you see us hash it out, let's be honest, a lot of the time we agree with the prescription. We're not always arguing different perspectives. But when we do, you get to see the different aspects that a homeopath is weighing up and the different approaches, because all homeopaths do it differently. I think that's all on that page. So the flexibility. Jean, let me ask you this question. Do students need to keep up with everything every week? How does it work for being self-paced?
Well, when we were designing the curriculum, or when we were designing what you would do each week, we made sure that it was always achievable. And you'll find that some of it is bite-sized, so you can go in, you can do a bit, and then another day you can do another part of it. So it's flexible. You can accommodate your work. You can watch something at night. You can. So really, it is designed to fit in. But if you do get behind, we, we keep an eye on everybody, because one of our principal features is that, we leave no one behind. So we're always checking up in a caring way to make sure that you're keeping up with things. If you're not keeping up with things, we ask you to either let us know or we'll contact you. And that's so that we can offer the help that you need in order to accommodate this learning. So we might say, well, actually, you could leave this till later, or we'll work on plans with you. Um, so
So,
it really is designed to fit your lives. But if you get too far behind, then this is where Ash will come in, and Ash will talk to you. She will offer you a meeting with one of us, but she'll also say, right, we really need to be thinking about how to really rectify this, and so you don't get so far behind that you then think, oh, I'm going to give it all up. So
yeah.
we never let you get to that stage.
So, guys, say for example, some of the things we encounter with our students, it might be they're going to be having a baby. We've got lots of pregnant and birthing mamas around in our course. And so they might fall behind for like 4 weeks or something around that period where everything's just really busy. And then they know, okay, I'm going to catch up later. Or maybe it's school holidays and they've been really busy with the kids and like I am behind, I'm like 5 weeks behind. That's okay because they know they're going to catch back up again before too long. So we keep an eye on it, but we know that life happens. You guys go on holidays, you've got different things planned. You do not have to do your 10 hours every week. You're allowed to have that flexibility. I think it's critical in this day and age because most of you are not fresh out of school, living at home, all free time to study, right? Your parents, you're working full time and you've got things going on. This has to fit around that. So lectures are released on Mondays via the online learning portal. That's called Thinkific. It's a beautiful, neat little, portal there that you guys log into with your student details. Then we also have 2 live drop-in sessions each week. So when you guys come in for 2026 round, that means you get me every week for the drop-ins, 2 hours each. And it's a place where students just ask questions and we have conversations. So that stuff is not critical. You do not have to be present. You do not even have to listen to the recordings. But we do find our students like are pretty nerdy, obsessed with it because hearing Peter, Jean, and I speak on all of these different questions and the way that we answer them, you imagine 4 hours a week of extra knowledge that they are absorbing. It's profoundly helpful if you can listen, but it's not critical for you to listen to graduate. But it's like everything, guys. Of course, the more time you put into it, the more you're going to get out of it. The more books you read on the side, the extra readings, of course, amazing. But it's not mandatory. So we have those drop-ins, and then we have 3 structured tutorials per trimester. So this is where you guys get split off into groups and you will be seen by lecturers. So we've got 6 academy tutors and they are absolutely brilliant. They're from all around the world and they all have their own unique knowledge and clinical experience. The one thing that's the same about all of them is just how damn brilliant they are. So yes, you will love them. And they rotate often as well. So you get exposed to different tutors in those. Do, 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 do. So, is it manageable for someone with a newborn, stay-at-home mum with kids? Yes, 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 yes. So I did my honors with my third baby as a newborn. And so they were laying in the bed and we were doing that. It's totally doable. And I think, Jean, you also had a bub when you were doing your studies. So, guys,
Mm.
we honor the families 100%. And a lot of our tutorials, people are there with their babies, with their kids. I worked in fertility, up until really I started Remedy Academy with Jean and Peter. And so a lot of the people who joined Remedy Academy are my old patients. And so they sit there with their babies And on the first tutorial, we had one tutor group and there were 3 babies in there and they were all up here like that. And they were showing up on my screen next to each other. So it's so beautiful. So yes, children welcome. They're not an interruption. We work around them. Is it self-paced? Essentially, yes. As long as you don't fall. Really, like 6 weeks behind is where I start to get a bit like, oh, are you okay? That's where we're reaching out. How can we support you? What's going on? That's where we really look. Now, there is not a way to fast track the course. We don't want you to smash it out in 1 year, even if you could, because knowledge and wisdom takes time to integrate. We want you to see, let all of the information ruminate, and for you to grow as a person is absolutely critical. So, awesome. Yes, it can't be fast tracked. We have to stay a minimum of that 2 years. Now, assessments by portfolio. Peter, would you like to tell them what do they need to submit ultimately with their portfolio? Now, it is external mentor, so you guys will be going to an external mentor and getting these signed off. We have many Remedy approved mentors, but Peter, tell them what actually needs to be submitted at the end to graduate.
Well, Jean and I came to the conclusion that most other tertiary education programs over assess. So we said, well, what is the essential assessment? Is their clinical capacity to do a good job? So we said, okay, minimum of 10 new cases with at least 2 follow-ups on each of those 10 cases. So there's 30 interviews that you need to present. You can have more than 2, but we have to draw the line somewhere. So that 30 is what we can manage in our own task force of staff. And then you compile all these. We've got templates for you to fill out. So you compile all these 30 interviews and you submit that, and we check all that off. We've also checked you with every interview that you do to make sure that you're getting good outcomes. We provoke you, we stir you, we inspire you, we tease you, we laugh and cry with you, whatever it takes to get you learning. And that's what we do right throughout. It starts in trimester 3, goes on through to trimester 6. And that's how long it takes to probably do your 10 cases and 2 follow-ups. So we check that off at the end and say, yes, clearly you're an excellent student, an excellent clinician, and you now graduate.
Yep. And also, so your weekly quizzes that Peter often generates. So we go through our course content, then you do 10 multiple choice questions quiz. Now, if you get one of those wrong, it is going to make you reset the whole quiz until you get 100%. So every week you will be doing your quizzes, and that tells us you definitely watched your course material. So you will be learning and probably laughing when you do the quiz, as most of our students find Peter's quiz questions hilarious. But they can be, quite profound questions where you really got to think. My husband's in the course currently and he never likes doing his quiz unless I'm sitting next to him. And I'm like, oh my gosh, if you get it wrong, you only have to resit it. It's not like everyone's going to see that you got it wrong. But he still, I don't know, just likes me to be there while he reads through them. But he usually gets them all bang on right. Anyway, so you will have your quizzes, then you will submit your portfolio with, as Peter said, 10 initials and then 2 follow-ups per each. And they will be signed off by a Remedy approved mentor. So I think it goes into, all right, let's chat about associations and accreditation. I'm going to call on Peter again because he has sat, well, Jean and Peter have, but Peter was the president of the ATMS for a very long time. He's been around the AHA. Peter, tell us about associations and accreditation in homeopathy.
Homeopathy has unfortunately received a lot of negative attention. There's still skeptics and doubters, flat earth people who think it doesn't work. And it's probably going to be the very last therapeutic modality to ever get statutory registration. If it ever did, it probably never will, and it doesn't need to have statutory registration. And that's why we don't feel absolute necessity to feel that we have to join the Australian Register of Homeopaths, which is a peak body for statutory registration when it's unlikely to ever come true. Now, the role of associations, professional associations like AHA and ATMS and ANTA, is to look after practitioners. They don't lobby for statutory registration. They lobby for other things like GST exemption and private health insurance rebates, but they look after mainly things like continuing professional education, CPE, maintaining your currency and first aid, and advocating for the profession generally in most other ways. So we are thinking of having our own association so that we can look after you without getting tied up in all the politics that there is around all the other associations. Now, I've been on the ATMS board for 18 years. I was president for 7 years. So the absolute necessity of an association is there more to look after practitioners, but you can look after yourself, or we can look after you if you need to be looked after. Probably the only thing that's rather exceptional here is if there was ever a complaint, because these associations have complaints committees, and what can they do about a complaint is rather limited. They can eject the person from the membership, but there are issues in larger circles in federal and statutory law about how to look after a serious complaint. We don't get serious complaints. We don't kill people. We don't have adverse drug reactions. There's nothing terrible that happens to homeopaths to warrant anything like that, which is why we don't need statutory registration. We are a low-risk modality. The high-risk modalities become statutory registered and become part of allied health. There's about 15 modalities there. We don't need that because we're not a danger to the Australian public. Yes, it would be nice to have private health insurance rebates, but when all that came down, homeopathy was left out. Why? Well, it's unfortunate that science got bent by politicians and big pharma. So we won't go into all that nastiness, but we can look after ourselves, and RMDY may well look after you if you want all that continuing professional education. We're not there yet because we haven't had a cohort graduate, but that's potentially what we would do in the future.
All right. So that's a sorry, I was just reading one of the comments in the chat. That's a Peter style, in-depth tangent. And then here I come with a really simplified version. And it's that me, for example, I prefer not to be a part of any association. So here I am, I'm just Melissa, a homeopath. I graduated from my originally 2-year thing. So when you guys graduate this course, you really predominantly around the world will not need to be registered or with anybody unless you want to. Now, what are some of the beauties of associations? Maybe you feel that it gives you a boost of confidence in the beginning because you feel like, oh, I belong, I'm legitimate, see, I'm part of these associations. But all of you upon graduation are going to have the APH after your name. You are going to be an advanced practitioner of homeopathy through RMDY Academy. Now, we are accredited with the ATMS and more coming through with IICT, etc. But yes, it's just not critical. It's completely up to you guys what you would like to do. You get insurance regardless, but I do need to touch on there are some places around the world where homeopathy is a little bit regulated. We don't tend to have students, many coming from there. So, but I need to let you know places like Belgium, France, you need to be a medical doctor in order to be a homeopath. And there's 3 states in the US. Let me get these: Connecticut, Nevada. Oh, what's the last one?
Arizona?
Arizona. Yes, Arizona. Those 3, for some reason, you've got some funny little laws. Now, if you live in one of those places, and Jean, you've just unmuted yourself. Are you going to add another one?
No, no.
Oh, okay, cool. No. But if you do live in one of those areas, the best thing to do is going to be researching what do homeopaths in your local area do, because it may just be that you end up as more of a health coach than calling yourself a homeopath, but you are still taking a case and you are still, able to let them know what may be good for them, and then they can seek that out. So there are ways around these things that it might just require further investigation. But we do recommend looking at your like local regulations and homeopaths around you, what they're doing. Um, Someone's just said that in Ontario, it's the same. That's the first I've heard of that. Actually, no, I feel like I know people from Ontario who are just homeopaths. So that's interesting. But yeah, we'll just always keep up, guys, going around the world. Things change. So, you just want to, yeah, keep your finger on the pulse there in your local state or city. But as Peter said, because we are so low risk, and to be honest, because for so long that the government has said homeopathy is placebo, it's nothing but sugar pills. It'll, of course, becomes very awkward when they turn around and say, no, actually, this is dangerous medicine. We need to regulate it and register people. I personally have an aversion to registration because I saw what happened during the COVID era, and all of the acupuncturists in Australia under APRA had to get vaccinated if they wanted to continue their work. I just believe in choice, and I do not like that level of heavy handedness. I am not completely trustful of our government to do what is best for the people. And so I'm extremely grateful that homeopathy is not registered. But I do believe in, professional standards, and that we work with integrity always for our patients. That to me is extremely important, that we work safely, that we have mentors if we are homeopaths, if we're taking on, big cases, all of that. So I'm not cavalier. Homeopathy is damn powerful, but I believe it comes down to we must be trained well as practitioners. So yes, just reiterating, we are already with the ATMS IICT, and we've got a couple of other big associations in the works, but we'll let you guys know once they are all finalized. Now, all of our students who are with us right now, they signed up to us purely because of who we are and what we represent. So these ones actually came after. So all of the associations that are coming along now and accrediting Remedy, that's just a bonus. So we also, as Remedy Collective, we will have our own like group type association when people graduate because we've got so many people. We will definitely be keeping people together like under our own umbrella, and like a Remedy Pro. So when people graduate, we have ongoing CPD and mini courses that we run together, continued education really, to keep you sharp, right, to keep your finger on the pulse of homeopathy going forward. We also, Remedy, we support Woodford Folk Festival. We donate to homeopathic podcasts. So the Woodford Folk Festival free homeopathic clinic. Peter, do you want to tell people really quickly what we do there? So Remedy is the sole sole funder this year. So all of our students obviously get precedence in coming and working with us. But Peter, what's Woodford about?
Woodford has been going on for over 30 years, nearly 40 years now, as Australia's best music festival. It's a 6-day festival from the 27th of December to the 2nd of January. And we've had a free homeopathic clinic there for the last 17 seasons when there's been breaks for COVID. And it's anyone who walks in with anything, we help. Now, the consultation is free, the medicines are free. Our sponsors cover that, like Remedy Collective, and we do amazing work. We see about 300 patients in 6 days, and whether it's a tick bite or sunburn or a hangover, all the way through to rheumatoid arthritis and anything chronic that we can try and do something about, even in just 6 days. Now, obviously, if it's going to take longer, we'll encourage them to keep in contact and see us privately by telehealth, Zoom, and FaceTime to have ongoing care thereafter. And we've done remarkable work. And yes, I get a good number of clients following me up after the Woodford because we do regular miracles even in 6 days.
So we had, for example, a medical doctor, or he was a doctor, he wasn't actually a medical doctor, he just a PhD. Anyway, doctor comes in and he actually had a vaccine injury and he had done so many tests and investigative works, thousands of dollars spent. He walks into our free homeopathic tent, gets a homeopathic remedy, comes back the next day to make a big donation because it is what helped him so profoundly, more than anything else, resolving his issues from that. So that is an amazing opportunity. Things like that for students. And of course, most of you probably know that our mission is to open up Remedy Collective homeopathic centers for healing. So much like the old homeopathic hospitals, we think they need to be brought back. We've got our first one being built currently in Brisbane in Australia. We've got our eyes set across the US and all different states around Australia. So our students, we really need them graduated first and in a powerful position to work in these hospitals because we need more people power to sort of man them. So they will be a lot of fun to work in. Um, Will I be able to open up a clinic upon completion of this course? Yes, you can get straight to it. It could be an online clinic. It could be a brick and mortar place. You can work in one of our centers. You can start your own. Freedom is completely up to you. Will homeopathy ever be registered? Now, none of us have a crystal ball, but I would say there are far more modalities out there that they would be looking to register before homeopathy, and I can't see it coming anytime soon. Again, because like Peter said, we're not dangerous. Homeopathy's never killed anyone. You look at how many people die from taking Panadol in Australia. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's something like, oh, it used to be 60 a year. You know, something like that. Your average Panadol, that is dangerous. Those sorts of things need to be regulated. Homeopathy, nope, never. Will homeopathy ever be put back on private health refunds and rebates? Maybe. That's a government thing, you know, state to state, country to country. It has never affected me. I have never been on private health rebates. Peter used to be before they took homeopaths off, and it did not affect his practice at all. People do not come to me for the, you know, $20 discount rebate. They come to me to heal, and they invest in that healing, knowing, well, for many of them, it's their last option. But yeah, people will invest in what works. And that's how you build your practice, is that you are actually successful. Everyone goes out and tells everyone else, oh, hey, I went and saw her for this. And look, my eczema's resolved, or my kid had all of these food intolerances, couldn't even drink milk, and now all these things resolved. That person will go and spread the news to 5 other people, and you will end up extremely busy, probably booked out before you know it, looking for another homeopath to refer to. Do you think Australian healthcare will look into homeopathy more in the next 5 to 10 years? This is a funny question on the slides. And it doesn't really matter if the Australian government looks into it or Australian healthcare models looks into it, because the people are looking into it. The people are demanding it. And that's all that matters. They are seeking the answers. And now more than ever, because of the hoo-ha of the last 5 years, all the distrust, you know, in the medical model, people are just coming to homeopaths in droves, desperate for healing, and I guess very satisfied with the healing that they are finding, getting to the root of their symptoms. Books, software, and supplies. What books do you recommend we start with reading? All right, I've got a bunch on my desk. This one here, Impossible Cure. If you haven't read it yet, that would be the number one starting point. Um, Outside of that, really, anything you can get your hands on is going to be fun. But the rest of the books can be quite in depth, you know, like I've got a bunch here on my desk, but these are really when you're getting into practice. I don't think you guys are going to have as much fun. You might have fun reading Catherine Coulter's, you know, homeopathic portraits, or Philip Bailey's constitutional profiles. That's where you guys can, you know, read a chapter about what does a sepia woman look like? What does an Ignatia woman look like? And all of that is going to be really fun to read, but it's probably not going to really hit home where you're really absorbing it until you're probably studying. But by all means, if you want to start now, when you really commit to studying, you guys will probably buy some like this. This is a Materia Medica. This has got all the information about our remedies. The other one is the repertory. That's all our symptoms. But most of you are also going to be buying Radar Opus. This is our software, homeopathic software. If you're on Instagram, you probably saw me do a little random thing about it today. It's pulling up the symptoms. It's a beautiful, beautiful program. And it helps us, you know, we save so much time doing it online. And you guys pay about 500 Australian dollars, and you get access, full open access to all of those Radar Opus materials for the 2 years. Now, after that, you get to choose which books you would like to add to your program. So you might pay another couple of $100 for which books you like. But for that 2 years, you get open access to all of them. Now, that's pretty important because homeopaths like to use different texts. You don't really want to go and buy a package or buy books if you don't really know the contents of them and which ones you like. Peter's favorite was probably Adonis, Schroyen's Adonis back in the day. Are you swayed at all towards Murphy now, Peter, or are you a loyalist to Adonis?
Well, I'm impressed by Gene's loyalty to Robin Murphy and his books, with his Materia Medica and his repertory. So I'm more sympathetic than I used to be, put it that way.
I like both. Jean loves Murphy. I find Murphy brilliant. I don't know, Murphy's getting up there. So anyway, the point is that you guys need to play in these different books and see which ones give you the best symptoms, you know, coming out as rubrics. Which one do you find the most user friendly? So I wouldn't rush out and buy, because these homeopathic books are expensive, guys. These are probably, oh gosh, I don't even know, like $200 or something. I would hold off on buying big expensive books until you've used Radar. Because if you've got Radar, that's got, about 100 books in it. You need not go and buy them all, just wait. And you might never buy them. Homeopaths have a bit notorious for having a bit of a book fetish. So I wouldn't be surprised if most of you are the same. Jean probably has the biggest collection. So, all right, they're the books. Yes, we will put you in contact with the suppliers of Radar Opus. And how much money should we allow to start our own dispensary and purchase remedy supplies? When I first started, I bought about 40 remedies and it cost me about $800. And I've still got them today. Now, you can buy a base dispensary and you're going to buy the Polycrest, probably the remedies that you are going to be prescribing most frequently. However, if you are not in a financial position to outlay to buy the remedies to have the stock of your own, you can always, as a student, just get the pharmacy to fill your scripts. So there's no, need for you to go out and buy your own dispensary until you're ready. But what I would say is, as soon as you are in a financial position to buy your own dispensary, I would highly recommend it because you will buy from the pharmacy one bottle, let's say arnica, and you buy a bottle of arnica and it was $20, let's say. Then because patients are used to paying $20 or $30 per remedy bottle. So if you have bought the stock from the pharmacy, you can then make up probably 100 bottles of arnica for your patients. And if you are selling all of those for $20, as you can see, you are making your money back within one sale of one remedy. And then you're left with this stock that you will have probably for the rest of your practice. So I hope that makes sense to you guys. I would say as soon as you can, buy your dispensary because you're going to make your money back with all of the selling of remedies. Certainly with first aid kits, you can then dispense many remedies and it's really quite profitable, to be honest. So we buy, and Peter, Jean, and I, we love supporting the pharmacies. We recommend the students support the pharmacies in buying their, remedies. We hear from the pharmacists, they're so grateful because they have never been so busy in all their life filling your scripts. But at some point, you will have a good collection of your own and you won't as frequently need to buy anything from the pharmacy. You can also do remedy swaps amongst your students, your colleagues. It's a beautiful thing. I recently bought a big order from Remedia Pharmacy in Europe. I can't remember how much it was. I don't know if it was like $8,000 order, something outrageous because I bought so many in so many different potencies. And then for Peter's birthday, I gave him a set that I copied off and dispensed to him. He raves about them nonstop. He was so chuffed with it. And I've got a set being done up for Jean as well. So this is what homeopaths and colleagues do for each other, and you guys can do. We host student meetups like all around the country, in other countries as well. And it was so funny. Look, people, if they were watching what was happening, must have been like, what the hell are these people doing? You've got like 50 people meeting up in the park. They had all these little like plastic bags, Ziplocs, and they're all swapping all of these little white pills all amongst them. It was like totally chaotic and hilarious, but you save a lot of money, of course, by doing that because, as we said, frequency medicine goes so far. You can absolutely split stock between multiple people. Prerequisites and enrollment. So, is there a cap on enrollments for the next intake? There is currently no cap. What is the enrollment deadline? July 31st next year. However, we are unlocking our anatomy and physiology components in January next year. So for any of the people who are just chomping at the bit, so ready to get into it and start studying, part of our homeopathic qualification with the 2 years advanced practitioner of homeopathy, there is a reasonable amount. There's 52 hours of anatomy and physiology. Now, in most courses, it can be dry and boring and very much mechanistic. Whereas what we have now to roll out, so the lecturer who will actually be teaching you guys, her name is Michelle. She was my lecturer. She worked alongside Peter at Devon College. She's absolutely brilliant. She makes it come alive and teaches it with this, the energetic roots and all of the fun side stuff, all of the magic of the human body amidst you guys understanding the names of cells and all of the different, systems of the body. Because as a homeopath, let's not get confused. As magical as it is and as like much on psychology, this is medicine. Peter's famous quote, this is not macrame 101 down the hall. You don't do this course just for a bit of like hippity dippity funsies. This really is full blown medicine. And you guys will see that with the results that you get. Like, whoa, this person had severe kidney dysfunction. They have multiple surgeries, all of this, and you can resolve it with homeopathic medicine. But to do that, we need you guys to graduate with a firm understanding of the human body and how it operates. But it shouldn't be boring. It shouldn't be dull. It should be magical. And that's what this anatomy and physiology is. So that will unlock next January. You do not need any medical background to apply. Of course, we have a lot of nurses, pharmacists, doctors. Equally, we've got stay-at-home mums who've never studied. We've got electricians, carpenters, we've got two people who came fresh out of high school, so you don't need anything behind you before you join us. We will give it all to you. Now, the anatomy and physiology component, we are pleased to offer a full comprehensive A&P course. And that will get unlocked when you have fully committed to Remedy Academy's 2-year course. So that'll be you've paid your first installment, whether you're paying the discounted upfront or whether you're doing a payment plan. If you've paid your first installment of your payment plan, you then get access to the anatomy and physiology to start. Now, you don't have to start this in January. If you would rather do everything starting in September 2026, you can do that. But I think there are a lot of people who would want to start the anatomy and physiology and slowly get through that so that by the time September 2026 rolls around, you are good to go. So that's just an option there. And that is $79, the anatomy and physiology aspect of this. Now, if you cannot wait to get started, the Welcome to the Revolution course that we did, it's on our online shop. So if you go to remedycollective.com, you'll see Welcome to the Revolution, Ignite the Change. So if you purchase this, you get to go through 6 big modules. So you get homeoprophylaxis with Dr. Isaac Golden, you get classical children's remedies with Jean and Jan. You get classical adult remedies with Peter and Kim. You get first aid remedies with me. There's one other, complex children with Sarah Valentini. This is your ASD, PANS, PANDAS, ADHD, complex kids. I feel like there was another topic. No, maybe that's it. Now, if you guys do that, you fall in love with homeopathy, that cost will be discounted from your fees, your course fees. So that's something, but be warned, if you're on the fence right now about studying homeopathy, if you do Welcome to the Revolution, it's probably going to be cemented that this is what you want to do for the rest of your life. So there you go. Now, if you do that, just send your order confirmation to accounts@remedycollective.com and that will get taken off your invoice when you eventually do your contract with Remedy Academy. I've got a question here. Jean, all the other schools teaching homeopathy in the UK take 4 years to qualify for a diploma covering history, philosophy, materia medica, case taking, miasms, anatomy, physiology. What is the difference with Remedy? Why does it only take 2 years before students are ready to start practicing?
Okay. Well, the first thing is I wrote the education policy for the UK courses, so pretty au fait with what's in them. But when we decided to do this course, it was very much, well, what is the minimum length of time we could fast track somebody through their homeopathy training whilst making sure that they were competent and confident, but also had the maturation of thought to be able to be out there and to really take their place as health professionals, and if you count up the number of hours, because many of the registering bodies have said that you have to do so many hours of this, so many hours of that. And we designed our course to meet those requirements, but within 2 years. So you're doing everything that you would do in a 4-year course. You're just doing it within the 2 years. Because if you look at the 4-year courses, they have 1 weekend's attendance every month for 4 years. And if you count up those hours and then you count up the 10 hours for us, you'll find that we do as much. And one of the key things that we do is that we have a 42-week year. Whereas when you're looking at the homeopathy, the part-time ones in the UK, you're looking at 11 months of a weekend a month. So you're talking about 22 you're talking about 11 weekends a month. So you can see that we easily exceed the number of hours that you would do in a part-time course.
Cool. Hope that one answers it, because definitely sometimes it can seem like you would think, yeah, 4 years, that must be way more in depth. But when you actually look at the hours and everything that's covered, but we do everything, as you said, materia medica, case taking, anatomy, physiology, miasms, history, philosophy, all of that stuff is just completely in our spiral curriculum, constantly reiterating those aspects. And there was a question there in the chat. What if you've already fully signed up to RMDY Academy and then you want to do Welcome to the Revolution? Yes, you can get that for free. Just email through to the Academy and they will organize that for you. Now, miscellaneous questions. Mentor costs. This is a good one. Now, you will do your RMDY Academy 2 years, and as part of that, you will be seeking an external RMDY mentor who you will book in times with, and they will go through your 10 initial cases and your 2 follow-ups with you. Now, the prices for getting a mentor vary. The minimum is going to be around the $500 mark. The more experienced people, if you're going to be booking in with someone with 30 years experience, there's a good chance that they are going to be more expensive. But there's going to be a sliding scale, so you can choose, and you can also look at who the person is. If you bond with them, you want it to be someone that you really like and respect, and you can seek them out as a mentor. So we've got RMDY mentors already. So yes, that's a sliding scale, but I would say allocate at least $1,000. But yeah, 500, I guess, if that's where you're at, if it's a crunch kind of thing, financial crunch. We know, homeopathy used to be covered by the government HEX scheme. So when I studied, I could whack $70,000 on my HEX debt and just pay it off, in years to come when I'm earning whatever amount. They purposely, I will say, took homeopathy out of every RTO so that you have no option to do that anymore. When you make homeopathy difficult to study, you make it difficult for homeopaths to graduate and then completely overhaul the face of medicine. But, in our course, obviously, it's, I think, the most cost-effective 2-year course that exists. And, I just value that. I want to keep it within reach of people. Yeah, as much as is possible. Will the business side be taught as well? Absolutely, yes, because it's critical. What is the point of us teaching you all of this incredible knowledge to have you not have a successful practice? You need to be able to share it with the world. There is actually a thing where there are some homeopaths out there who are so damn brilliant, but because they can't get their message out there, they can't communicate it, they can't market themselves, or they don't have the confidence to build that practice, their magic is never shared. And what a travesty. So yes, definitely we cover that. That's my favorite part. Not the favorite really, but it's a part I like. Will we need to travel to RMDY Academy for in-person training at all? No. No. It's all online. If you would like to come to any of our in-person events, amazing. We have our graduation next year in November 2026, and we have 400 people from around the world flying in to get their capes, their gowns, their hats, and it's going to be so much fun. And we will have a conference at the same time, and a lot of them will be working in our healing center while they are here. So the travel part is a fun optional, but absolutely not necessary. You could live in anywhere in the world and complete this course. Because we have enough live touch points, you feel connected with each other and the cohort, even though it's not technically face-to-face going to a clinic or an institution kind of thing for education. There are so many different styles of homeopathy. Which one will you teach? Peter, take it away. What do we teach?
We always need to start with the foundation. And this is Hahnemannian homeopathy, which George Vithilkes calls classical homeopathy. So we start off with Samuel Hahnemann's textbooks, such as The Organon of Medicine, the 6th edition, finished in 1843, published in English in 1922. It's still our mainstay for the foundation. We also recognize that things have moved on and changed. So there's a time and a place for pragmatism. Modern homeopathy is sometimes needed. And we are prepared to entertain the possibility that it's good to prescribe something pragmatic from time to time. So whether it's a drainage protocol, whether it's the use of isodes, whether it's a homeoprophylactic regime, these have a place as well. But our emphasis and our basis, our gold standard is Hahnemannian classical homeopathy.
Brilliant. Love it. Um, Various payment options and plans. Yes, they are outlined here. All of these are on our website, www.remedyacademy.org. Please feel free to go onto that and peruse as you need. I will get to the chat questions in a sec, guys, but I'll just finish off. We're nearly there. This is our course calendar, 6 trimesters, 14-week program. So we start September 2026 minus, in January, we can start our anatomy and physiology if you would like to. You guys will graduate the 25th of August, 2028. All right, let me get into some of the questions. I can see I'll work my way up. Someone just said, do you teach the Banerjee protocols? And yes, we do. We've covered some of them. I've gone through some fertility ones and different therapeutics. So like Peter was just saying, this is more modern practical homeopathy, the use of protocols. It's not your base classical finding the simillimum, which, to be honest, the most difficult part of homeopathy, the art of homeopathy, is in finding that simillimum. So we know that we have to teach you guys that and make you firm in that, because everything else after that is really quite easy. Therapeutics, practical homeopathy, that's easy. That's more of an allopathic mindset, And it's not to say that it's not extremely valuable, it is. But the classical homeopathy is the art that we spend a lot of time teaching you. How can you take one person's case and see so many symptoms and so many layers, and then step back and have that one remedy that you're going to prescribe? That's what we need to focus on. So, but yes, we do the Banerjee protocols. And I've been saying to the students in this cohort, oh, I really want to go to India and da da da. And I've just been saying that to them privately. I've never said that on Instagram. And then I got a message 2 weeks ago from Isha Banerjee. So she's the 5th generation. And she was wanting to reach out and touch base and find out if I knew about the Banerjee protocols. So here we are, all of our students, and Jean, Peter, and I will be going to India in February to spend time with the Banerjees. So we're extremely excited about that. So do you use Fibonacci home accords? I would say Remedy Academy is really the instigator of the worldwide Fibonacci home accord sort of phenomenon with people using it. They are profound. You will learn all about home accords. I will say that our course, we do not hold back on showing you the latest and greatest. And because our students have been using them in their cases, we have a data bank of, thousands of cases where Fibonacci home accords have been used. We find them absolutely profound, gentle, rapid healing, as gentle as can be for what the person needs to go through for healing. So you'll learn more about that. But yes, we absolutely use Fibonacci home accords and more. We've possibly evolved even past the Fibonacci's to an extent, but you guys will learn all about it. Are there people in the UK at the moment? They sure are. We've got a bunch of students from the UK, Ireland, Scotland. And Jean, can they join the Society of Homeopaths?
They can through the individual route.
Yeah.
One of the things is that it's not possible for us as an academy to join every organisation, because it would be too expensive, and every organisation has their own rules and regulations about what needs to be covered in it. But absolutely, you do meet the requirements of it, so you can go down the individual route. However, you don't necessarily need to belong to it. I belonged as a fellow to the Society of Homeopaths, and also Homeopathy International. But you can still get insurance, and when the academy has its own organisation, you might choose to belong to that instead, because it will be an international organisation.
Mm. Sure, thanks, Jean. Indiana, what is the difference between a naturopathy, my lord, naturopathy course within Australia and your remedy homeopathy course? Well, homeopathy and naturopathy are completely different. So I started in a naturopathic degree, and they are predominantly, herbs, lifestyle, diet, nutrition, supplements, that sort of thing. Homeopathy is a whole other kettle of fish. Um, I was 2 years into my naturopathic degree before I found homeopathy, and then I just threw everything else away. Like, see you later. Don't don't need it, don't want it. I believe in good lifestyle and wholesome living, but the magic of homeopathy is so profound. I'd say Peter's the same. He's obviously done all of his herbs and all of his other stuff in the backstory. When you find homeopathy, it's the one, and it calls people. You know, people just can't resist the magic of homeopathy. So, da, 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 da. Kylie said, I know someone local to me who is a practicing homeopath of 30 years. She's registered with Arrow. Could she be my mentor? Anybody who would like to be a remedy mentor, they simply have to fill out our form. And we just need to make sure that they've done, and I'm sure she has, but Arrow has a few different tiers of registration. We need to make sure she's done at least a 2-year qualification. And that's covered all of the foundations of homeopathy, which I'm sure she has. So, yes, if she wanted to apply, we would then approve that as a mentor. Is it $500 up for a mentor for each case? No, that is the whole package of going through. And it's also going to depend on how much time you want to spend with that mentor going through each case. Some will be a lot quicker. It's sort of like a quick check-in. That's a lot of the time what Peter, Jean, and I are doing with the current cohort. And it's all right, tell me about the case, tell me the essence. But if you guys want the really slow sit down where pretty much they're working through the whole case with you and pretty much deciding what remedies they would give, that's also a different level of supervision. So, you know, there's a whole range when it comes to your mentors, and you just want to ask them, what is it going to look like if I work with you? So we'll have quite a list where you can suss out who you want to work with and, you know, how that approach goes. Do you think a dedicated AI chatbot will or could replace a human homeopath for acute or complex patient presentations? I have played with ChatGPT to ask it about different, you know, remedy profiles. It's about 80% bang on for its general information, but it does not have the capacity to take a full case and see where this person's vital force got out of whack. And an individual could never feed objective information into the chatbot in order to find the right remedy. So I don't believe they're going to be anywhere near. I don't think it's ever going to happen because to be a homeopath, you need that human person to person contact. Jean?
Yeah, we always call it the art and science of homeopathy. And, you know, the AI might be able to do some of the science bit, but it won't be able to bring forward that art. You know, I always liken it to an orchestra, and you become the conductor of that orchestra. So you're hearing all the time, you're seeing which instruments you want to bring in. And, you know, it's a very intricate um, study, really, of that person. And that can never, ever be done by AI.
Brilliant. Amen. Agree. I don't think we're anywhere near. I think that system hopefully is all going to implode, and we at the homeopaths are going to be looking after our community. Back in the day when there were epidemics, the lines for people waiting to see the homeopath, they are like, I am so valuable if the world turns to crap. Do you know what I mean? And I do see that we're in for some hard times. And I often said to my husband, you know, in the hoo-ha of the COVID era where things were looking really drastic, I said, if we ever need to up and move, I am just going to pack my entire dispensary and we'll just be set because I will be the medicine woman and I can help people with so many things. So yeah, AI, it's not really close when it comes to homeopathy. I love the online software, but that is not AI. That's not replacing our human thinking brain for what the person needs to hear their story and integrate all of that information. There was another question. Our thoughts on using radionics machines in practice, both to send remedies and to make pill remedies. Now, there are homeopaths all around the world that I do respect, and they use radionics machines sometimes. Some of them will do it exclusively. Jill Turland, for example, quite a famous homeopath, she used radionics machines for making hers. Peter, Jean, and I all favor handmade, pharmacy made remedies when appropriate, when they have them. Whenever they exist, we will buy them. But it's not to say that people that they have not used radionics machines and found that they too also work. So the feedback from Dr. Isaac Golden is that the handmade remedies last longer than radionics. So for his homeoprophylaxis and immunization program, he uses all handmade, even though he might use radionics for other aspects of his practice. So we're not against them. We talk to our students about them, you know, practitioners who use them. We do definitely recommend supporting local pharmacies, you know, when you can, because that keeps them thriving, successful, and always available, you know, to supply our needs. We don't want the homeopathic pharmacies going under in case, you know, we ever need them. So Peter's often said in an apocalyptic event, how dire do we sound, by the way, guys? I'm not meaning to take this conversation today. Like it's the world's going to be fine. But in an emergency event, a radionics machine would be very helpful to have on hand to transmute remedies. Uh, yeah, Alison, I do think homeopathy is going to have an extremely safe and secure future. Luckily for you guys, I have a plan to re-establish homeopathy around the world where everybody knows about it and everyone is going to be seeking homeopaths. I think by the time you guys graduate in 2028, it's not going to be like where you talk to someone, you say, "Oh, I'm studying homeopathy," and they say, "What's that?" They're going to be like, "Oh my gosh, that's so cool. Oh, you know, can I come and see you?" So yeah, I think you guys will be set. Jean?
And I don't think, even though the past history of homeopathy looks as if it's had peaks and troughs, Peter and I, if you think in the last 35 years, we've been working as homeopaths. We've worked full time as homeopaths or in the homeopathy sector, and we've not had a problem finding patients. So even though it becomes less mainstream at times, you know, it's still there. People are still seeking you out. People, homeopaths still have full practices. So it's never gone away, even though it might look to you from the outside that it is. So I wouldn't worry about that. If you become a good homeopath, you will always, always be in demand.
And that's where the focus has to be. It's you don't, you know, get into this. No one becomes a homeopath because they want to be rich. No one, well, I don't think. And no one becomes a homeopath you know, for any other reason other than that you love to help people, you love your craft, you love what you're doing. And the extension of that is a successful, thriving practice. It just comes. So I would say to everyone, if you want everything to go well for you, focus on becoming the best homeopath you can, and then you don't have to worry about anything else. You will be sought after for many years to come. So Carly said, Hilary Dorian is the bee's knees. Does she guest lecture at many of the modules? She sure does. She's our most frequent guest lecturer. We love her as much as you do. She, you know, she teaches you guys the matrodonals, which is the gifts of the mother. So vernix, placenta, amniotic fluid, oxytocin, all folliculinum, all of those remedies. She does the endocrine sarcodes. She does the bowel nosodes. She does a stint on miasms. She's a frequent. Sarah Valentini does also big in depth, and Sarah Valentini has her own school of homeopathy, the Intuitive School of Homeopathy, but she lectures heavily in ours to cover all of the ASD, ADHD, PANS, PANDAS, complex kids. Sarah Valentini is absolutely gorgeous. Dr. Isaac Golden, Kim, Jen Blair. When we do menopause, you know, there's so many fun guest lectures. We even had Jeff Johnson, who's a vet from the UK, and the students loved his lessons on looking after animals and all the things that he's found. I think that's mainly. Oh, and Miranda Castro teaches the tissue salts. Yes, guys, you will be able to watch the live drop-in sessions. This will get uploaded to the RMDY Academy YouTube if you want to check that. And I think Ash, my sister, who is really the magic behind RMDY Academy, the business side and looking after you guys and looking after students and just doing all of that stuff, she, I think, emails you a copy of this when we finish. So you'll get familiar with Ash. All right, last question. I know some schools stick very strictly to purist classical only homeopathy. From your perspective, what are the pros and cons of that compared to a more pragmatic approach? Peter, I'll let you take that.
Well, Hahnemannian homeopathy is where we come from, and we respect and honor our roots. We also understand that there are lots of different people around the world doing lots of different things. You can buy a book on the methodologies of homeopathy, and there's 17 different ways that you could practice homeopathy, and they're all different from each other. And all those 17 different methodologies all call themselves homeopaths. But what's the central theme is the Hahnemannian theme, the classical homeopathy approach. Um, but I guess if we expose you to a few other ways of practicing homeopathy, perhaps what we call the pragmatic or the modern homeopathy, then if you do find classical Hahnemannian homeopathy fails you, yes, it can, then what will you do next? Something else. And that's why we need to have this mitigation and opportunity and strategic planning of, well, if that fails, what next? If that fails, what next? If that fails, what next? Until we get what is in the best interest of the patient, not our own philosophy. I mean, homeopaths have a foolish reputation of fighting each other over their differences of opinion. How silly is that?
Yep. So one thing that I really pride myself on about RMDY Academy and what we have built is that we are open to all. We are not dogmatic, but we will always present the options to you guys and sort of give our honest reflections on when perhaps we're getting too pragmatic, right? Too lazy, too allopathic in our thinking, where you can run the risk of starting to become a bit of a band-aid artist and not working to get to the root of a problem. So we, with our students, make sure that they are doing true holistic medicine, looking at the whole patient. But if they want to use a Narayani remedy to support someone's anemia or a skeletal balance Narayani because someone's got a spine injury and we need that bone to regenerate, we are so supportive. So open to all, respect that there are different ways of practicing homeopathy all around the world. We will teach you the best ways that we know. And we also bring in so many different perspectives that you get to see. Even though Peter, Jean, and I are pretty mad in love with home accords, we've got tutors and lecturers in here who will talk to you about single potency prescribing in case that's how you guys want to, leave this practice and do 30C, 200C, 1M, etc. So we will give you all that we possibly can and support you for how you would like to practice. You don't find two homeopaths in the world who do everything exactly the same. We don't expect you guys to be carbon copies of what we teach. You need to have that, individuality to go. All right, guys, I think we have answered every question. Oh, there was only one other one that said, how do you make your own remedies? We teach you how to make that in dispensing. So you buy the stock from the pharmacy, and then we show you how to do the amount of brandy to preserve it, the amount of water, make it up. But it's all very easy, very, very easy when you get your mind around it. And I show you a video in my warehouse of me making up some remedies. All right, guys, thank you so much for joining us tonight. I will make sure that you get a copy of this recording should you want to reference back. But I'm sure we'll be seeing many of you next year. I love it. All right, guys, all the best. Thank you, Jean. Thank you, Peter, as
Thank you.
always.
Well done.
Thank you.
All right. Oh, let me just, oh my gosh, how do I stop sharing? All right. Good night, everyone. See you soon.
Bye all.